Think back to the first core exercise you ever learned. You likely anchored your feet, linked your hands behind your head, and yanked your necks forward to grind out 50 sit-ups. Then you flipped over and held a plank. You stared at the floor, waiting until your shoulders shook and your hips gave out. We all assumed these endurance tests were building a six-pack. In reality, you were largely exhausting your shoulders and putting your lower back under a specific type of stress that offers very little in return. People often say that abs are made in the kitchen, but that's a half-truth. Dropping your body fat percentage reveals the muscle, but it doesn't provide the stimulus to build the muscle blocks themselves. If your stomach still looks flat after months of training, the problem usually lies in the movements. These foundational exercises often fail to provide the heavy tension required to trigger hypertrophy. To understand why, we have to look at what the abdominal muscles are actually designed to do. Their primary job is spinal flexion, actively pulling your ribcage down toward your pelvis. Watch a traditional sit-up. Active abdominal flexion happens only in the first few inches. Past that point, the torso stays rigid. The rest of the movement is driven by the psoas muscle, which attaches directly to the lower spine and pulls the body upward. Most of us already have tight hip flexors from sitting at desks all day. Adding 50 sit-ups on top of that just forces your lower spine to carry a heavy load while in a compromised position. Think of your lower back like a plastic credit card. It doesn't snap on the first bend, but repeated stress eventually compromises the structure. The mechanical solution to this is the heavy-weighted cable crunch. By kneeling down and locking your hips in place, you remove the psoas from the movement. When you grab the rope and crunch downward, you get pure, isolated spinal flexion against real resistance. You are shifting the tension off your lumbar spine and placing it directly onto the abdominal muscles. This allows for progressive overload, adding weight to the stack as you get stronger. Planks do correctly train core stability, and they are significantly safer than sit-ups. However, they rely entirely on an isometric hold. In an isometric hold, the muscle maintains tension without changing length. Biologically, this is one of the slowest ways to build muscle mass. It's like trying to build a bigger chest by unracking a heavy barbell, lowering it halfway down, and just holding it there for 2 minutes. It creates a burn, but it provides very little stimulus for growth. By the second minute of a long plank, the core fatigues and shuts off. The lower back arches, and the skeleton supports the weight. A more effective replacement is the dynamic ab wheel rollout, which targets your core's ability to resist extension. As gravity pulls your hips toward the floor, your abs must fire to prevent your spine from bending backward. This provides the stability demand of a plank, but with dynamic movement and increased leverage. A few strict, controlled rollouts deliver significantly more tension to the muscle fibers than surviving a multi-minute static plank. Beyond flexion and extension, there is a third function of the core that is often neglected: anti-rotation. While visible abdominal blocks show muscle development, they don't necessarily guarantee structural stability if you're unable to resist twisting forces. To address this specific demand, you need to incorporate the Pallof press. You stand sideways to a cable or band, hold the handle at your chest, and press it straight out. The weight tries to twist your torso toward the anchor, and your obliques must fire to keep your body perfectly straight. Training this ability to resist rotation bridges the gap between purely visual muscle and a torso that is stable under heavy loads. Even with the right movements, there is a common programming error: tacking on a 10-minute ab circuit at the end of every single workout 7 days a week. Your core follows the same biological rules as your chest or your biceps. It requires heavy tension followed by recovery to grow. Training them every day prevents the recovery period necessary for hypertrophy to actually occur. Instead, treat your core like any other major lift. Train it exactly 2 to 3 times a week, and leave it alone on the off days. Focus on cable crunches, ab wheel rollouts, and Pallof presses in sets of 8 to 12 reps, taking each set close to failure. Dieting will reveal the muscle you already have. But the structural blocks of a six-pack must be built with progressive weight in the gym. Stop treating your core like a test of stamina and start treating it like a muscle that needs to lift.